Hello and welcome to Full Wales, Sea Wales with me, Mel Owen.
Me, Will Hayward.
Me, Fiona Stewart.
Robin looks very different this week.
We have upgraded Robin.
With Fiona Stewart. Fiona, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, in this sunny day.
It's well, we are outside. Listeners and viewers might be able to see and hear that we are not in the Hayward studio. We are, Will, where are we?
We are at the Green Man Festival. We are under what is, I know the sun is always just the sun, but it feels like the hottest sun ever. But yeah, we are at, well, certainly Wales's largest independent festival. The UK's largest independent festival?
No, I think you'd find that was Glastonbury.
Oh, who? Glasgow who?
Who?
Don't know her. There might be a bit of background noise. There might be, you probably can hear bands playing. It's a very cool vibe here. So, just go with it. It's a little bit different to how crisp and professional it normally is.
So, where in Wales are we? Because we've broken out of the South Wales bubble. Well, we're a bit South Wales.
Well, I say Crickhowell, right?
Around Mid Wales. We're in Mid Wales.
Mid Wales.
But then Mid Wales is weird because I say I'm from Mid Wales and I'm from Aberystwyth. We're about 2 hours from Aberystwyth right now, aren't we?
That's sort of Welsh transport.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. You could be a mile away. It's just a 2-hour drive. Powys is a weird one. I feel like Mid Wales starts at the heads of the valleys.
See,
this is quality road content.
This is what they come to us for. Ways over here. I'm the wrong person to ask because for me this isn't mid. This is still very south for me. But that's because I'm just an Aberystwyth stalwart. But then some people think North Wales starts in Aber. So who knows? Maybe we should sort that out as a nation before we try anything else.
So we've got our geographical expert Fiona Stewart here with us.
That's the only reason you're here.
Out of this.
So Fiona, introduce yourself to people who don't know yourself and they don't know the Green Man Festival.
So, who am I? I am someone who loves my work, loves what I do, loves the people who I work with. The Green Man is something that I became involved in 2006. Previous to that, I ran another festival called The Big Chill that no longer exists. And before that, I worked at Glastonbury. Yeah, I really enjoy what I do. Some would say, a very different take on how we do things at Green Man. No other festival is run in the way that we run it.
What is that then? Why is it so different?
We decided that we wouldn't go the normal route of making it bigger and then selling it to a corporation, which is a normal way things go. We also decided not to do things like have sponsorship, sell our pouring rights to, and use and try and develop it so it became an influencer in some ways. I hate to use that word because it's become so associated with other things, but I suppose maybe more to it, that it became something that people could trust in a time when there's not many things that people can trust.
Cards on the table. One of the reasons I really like Green Man is because this is a world now that feels like everything has just been sold off or franchised. So I had the World Cup, like this kind of sacred thing. Yeah, you can argue it's been very corporate for a long time, but the idea of selling off this kind of planet asset, cricket, been franchised into oblivion. One company owns, is it 80% of festivals in?
Live Nation owns 80% of entertainment in this country, I think, as well.
80% of entertainment. What a chokehold for one institution to have on an industry.
So we did a special report on this about 9 months ago, and I couldn't believe the kind of how much of the music industry in terms of live music is owned by one company. So Live Nation, they don't just own like lots of the venues or have exclusive rights for the venues. They also will run the security at venues. They'll run the drinks at a venue, or the food. For £12 horrible hot dog that you're paying for is coming from one company. And what I really like about Green Man, not just that it's Welsh and based in Wales, it's the fact that it doesn't feel like it's on a relentless drive just to continuously eke out as much money as possible from the people that are coming here. And I think that's reflected in how quickly it sells out. So how quickly did it sell out, this festival sell out?
35 minutes.
35 minutes, is that a record?
Yeah, it was a record. It was just under an hour last year. And when I say it sold out, lots of people have lots of their friends who sell out. So all the baskets were full, as it was in the ticket thing. But we had about 43,000 waiting to get in when we actually shut down the ticket numbers. So there was another 43,000 would like to buy. And if you think that most of those people want to buy maybe 3 tickets, 4 tickets, that's a considerable amount of people who want to buy tickets.
How many people are here every day?
25,000 people here every day.
Wow.
It doesn't feel like it in a good way. It doesn't feel, when I've been here in the past, it's so spread out in a lovely way. My step count popping off, it's high, but it's laid out so nicely that somebody who gets overwhelmed with, like, when I've never been to Glastonbury, and I know I would hate it. I just know myself well enough to see those crowds. It would be awful for me. Whereas here, I feel like I can chill. Friends of mine have brought their 2-month-old. It's that kind
There's
of
a lot of
environment.
kids here.
There's a lot of kids. Do you foster that environment very intentionally?
I think it's more to do with wanting everyone. I think we had when we had Pentangle here a few years ago, it was their last ever live show, and there was a man came here. He was 93. Who came, and he really rocked out. I have to say, it was incredible. I was like watching him very closely, and he was fine. He was really going for it. And we've had a 2-day-old baby here. So, and I like to feel that anyone can come here. That it's sort of open. The doors are open. You can do what you like. And there's also things for everyone at different ages. There's, baby areas and there's children's areas, but there's more. There's areas for people who are not so much into music, who want to go and see Will Hayward talking in Talking Shop.
I mean, God forbid.
I mean, very few people decided to take up that offer. Will Hayward talking shop. But so we're gonna come on to some details about the festival. But it is primarily a music festival. But we're now sat in, is it Einstein's Garden?
Yes, we're sitting in Einstein's Garden, which is the science engagement area of the festival. Which
Is that unusual to have a science engagement area at a festival?
very, very. In fact, it was the first one. I remember a very senior person in the music industry to say, "Why are you doing this eccentric, weird Fiona?" That was. I mean, we started this in 2008. It was the first science engagement festival. Area at a festival, and now we have 15 universities are here. This stage is in partnership with Cardiff University, and what we try and do is, I think a lot of science is top-down instructed. Someone standing on stage who's a research person, and they talk to people. Here, it's bottom-up. It's got to be, our win for here is people who don't really like science and they get something out of it. And we bring in, with this stage in particular, we bring in actors and performers with the research people here from Cardiff, and they perform a show, which is, no one does that, so it's amazing.
Okay, so we are going to talk a bit more about what this means for Wales, what Wales can learn from something like this, how we can make, I'm sure you don't want competition, but other kind of Green Man-esque enterprises. And we're also going to have a little chat about, because ultimately the thing that people are interested in about running festivals is, which musicians are the biggest dickheads. So we'll have a little break. I am going to hydrate and put my hat on for a minute, and then we'll have another chat.
Okay.
Well, it's a normal British summer. What's your hat doing on?
Yeah, obviously it is a normal British summer. I'm obviously just so woke I can't cope with extreme physical stars in the sky
exactly.
burning me. So the hat is going on. I'm sorry, producer Daryl is pulling his hair out because aesthetically, it's hiding
We
my
can't
face.
lose you a Green Man. If this 93-year-old was rocking out, we can't lose you.
No,
you know?
it's a heat stroke.
No, exactly.
So being an independent festival, ultimately you do the booking, you decide what goes on here, and because you don't have kind of corporate sponsors, you really don't need to give a shit about anything other than what you think will make a good festival. And last year you had under a lot of pressure after Kneecap. The band Kneecap were booked. Can you just talk us through that? If you're a large corporation, you're kind of sheltered behind that almost corporate machine, whereas you're at the forefront, you own this festival. What pressure were you under?
I think there was less pressure from the Welsh government at the time than there was in England, I have to say. To be fair to Lunid, they were sort of like words like, you have to think about it.
Just to be clear, you've got, so there's Green Man, and then there's the Green Man Trust, which is like a charitable foundation,
Yes.
which does work in like community, and there was pressure for people not to give money to that charity because of a band you were having play.
Yes.
Why the hell are politicians talking about art anyway, and who can be booked?
And also, are we not in a country of free speech? Are we really going to start monitoring which bands are playing a festival? I genuinely don't understand that. But is it that free speech no longer works for them?
Talk us through the thought process.
For me, things like voting and free speech, I always remember the literally thousands of people in this country who fought hard over centuries to get the freedoms we have now. And I look at what's happening in the world where that's been taken from people. So I would never, ever not vote and not do anything that meant that was protected. I think it's sort of up to all of us to make sure that is something they do. I don't think politics should get involved in that. Especially, there were so many big things that were going on at the time to do in the world that needed addressing. And the amount of energy and time that it took on. I mean, the usual thing, you get nasty emails and all the rest of it. I just felt like, we got it. And when they came, they left. That was it.
Yeah, there was no trouble.
No, not at all.
Just a few Irish guys singing, ultimately.
Yeah, and
that's what
having
it
an
is.
opinion that some people might disagree. There might be people in the crowd who disagreed with them, but were able to go about their weekend and be like, oh, didn't quite agree with them, but cool, I've had a nice time, let me go and get a beer.
People who say they advocate for free speech, but only the free speech they like, don't advocate for free speech. You're advocating for a police state.
Yeah.
Like, it really... And I think that was something that was... If you had been beholden to sponsors and beholden to other groups, your decision then isn't your decision, is it? Because you have to make the best decision to keep lots of people on board. But that's what festivals, I think, should be, is an independent expression of music. And it might be that people don't agree with the stance, but don't fucking come.
Yeah, don't
You're
buy a
also
ticket.
welcome to not come.
Yeah.
That's also okay.
We did get some people who wanted their tickets. I think it was like 6.
What, wanted a refund?
I'm sure you can
and we
survive off
we gave them a refund. That was it. And at the same time, we were also...
And Keir Starmer didn't want to come anyway. So it was
And we also had a film that was produced by Baron Cohen's brother, which was a children's film about the Holocaust survivors. I know it sounds a kind of a hard thing to do, but in fact, it was a beautiful work that was there. And maybe, do we not put that kind of thing on? Does that kind of, it was such a kind of bonkersly, it was a bonkers thing.
So we talk on this podcast a lot about kind of the economy in Wales, how Wales can achieve its full potential. And one of the things I was talking to you about earlier was you try and incubate younger Welsh businesses here, don't you? So if I was running a food and drink business, there's quite a lot of pressure if you come to something like a festival when you haven't done them before, because you've got to buy in so much stock, haven't you? I mean, is it 175,000 pints will be poured this weekend?
Yes, yeah.
You've got to buy in
Some of those will be well.
So you've got to buy in loads of stock, you've got to get in staff, but it's a hard calculation because if you don't buy in enough, you sell out and it's a waste of opportunity, and if you do too much, you make a loss. So how do you help Welsh businesses navigate that process?
I mean, the quality has to be there. Initially, there's no tokenism for anything here, I'd say. But what we do is, when they're good, and there's lots of quality Welsh businesses, is that we would bring them in something like the settlement, which is a smaller event that we have earlier.
Yeah, so the settlement is basically before the festival starts. The real keen beans can come for a few days before, can't they?
They can, but it's also really, if you're like a single mum or a single dad, and you just buy one adult ticket and 3 children's tickets or so, it's an incredible cheap way to have a week in Wales, So there's lots of reasons we do the settlement, and one of the things that they do is we just help them develop it. We look at the front of the facade of what they do, how they're promoting themselves. We look at how many staff they're doing, and then it builds their confidence. They sell enough, and then we look at, sometimes they stay there, sometimes we move them into the main arena.
As well as incubating those Welsh businesses and supporting them and what might be their first venture into serving at a festival, what do you think the festival does in order to belong to Wales? Culturally at the festival, how Welsh does it feel here?
I think, it's for others to say as well, but I think that everyone we talk to definitely feels it's a Welsh event. I remember there was a promotion about Wales, including pictures of Wales that were placed all over the festival at one point, and people very cheekily said this is Wales, and people very cheekily said we know on them. And I think there was in Welsh and English as well, and I think there's a kind of confident feeling of being Welsh. It's a relaxed, we know we're Welsh kind of scenario. Welsh language is part of what's here, and it's sort of naturally part of what's here. I think that there's lots of, I think it's the quirkiness and welcoming. It's the attitude as well, and also the locations in Wales. So it's a Welsh event.
Are there opportunities for like Welsh artists, Welsh bands that like might not necessarily be able to get their foot in the door elsewhere to start off here as well?
Oh, massively. Again, no tokenism.
They've got to be good, right?
Yeah, they've got to be good enough.
Yeah.
And
we've
we've had pressure over the years to have a Welsh stage. I'd never do that, and it would be like if you choose to become a musician, it's the hardest choice you'll ever make. It's the hardest industry to break into at start. So I'm not going to, cover that up. It's so work within the system of getting noticed, being good enough, developing your talent, and
you're not going to put someone forward just because they're Welsh. Actually, I think that's almost patronising, isn't it?
Totally. It would really damage not only them because there'd be no credibility in what they were doing, but it would damage the other people on the stages who are Welsh as well. It can't be like, oh, you come in just because you're Welsh. You come in as a business. There are incredibly talented people in Wales. We don't have to do that. And there's incredibly talented businesses as well. There's various ways we work with them, not just with musicians, but with performing arts. And, they go through the Green Man Rising competition, which is, I think, probably...
Is that like a battle of the bands, basically?
It's like a battle of the bands with training and development. But it's also, to get in, you have to have been seen by people who work in industry now, not have retired, not that it was a bit of a hobby. Someone who makes their money by working at the decisions they make. But for us to choose an artist, because ultimately it's got to work because we need to make a profit to run, then we are backing that person and we're taking a personal risk. It's not like they're there because they're funded. It's this if they don't work. And I think in the music industry, people really respect that, and they'll look at a stage and they'll look at what's going on because they know we're taking a risk on them. And that's the reality of the music industry. It's all about taking risks and coming in. Ben, my son, who does the booking, he's, when he's developing acts and moving them up the different stages and putting them on different stages, it's incredibly strategic. He'll put them on being 4 down on the walled garden or 3 down on the mountain stage is a very good position to be. It shows there's a lot of confidence to be in that position. So it's curated, the whole thing.
So we've talked a lot about the arts and culture in Wales and how funding per head is lower than the UK average. It's one of the lowest in Western Europe. Considering Wales puts itself forward as the land of song, I mean, it is something, the arts and storytelling is an intrinsic part of Welsh culture and identity. Are you concerned about a lack of, it's not to say that there's not Welsh talent out there, but a clear pipeline for it being developed? I think I remember you saying to me, something you'd really love to see is to be able to put on a Welsh headliner on the main stage who was born this century. Because you could find loads of incredible Welsh acts, but they became famous Welsh acts 30, 40 years ago. Do you think that firstly, can you define what a headliner would be? What would you expect from a headliner? And do you think more needs to be done to develop them in Wales?
Absolutely. I think I would say that this is a slowdown across the UK as well. We're losing our position as people who develop stars. A headliner would be someone who was selling out a major music venue, like a London, Manchester, both music venue for 4 nights with credibility to do that. They'd reached that kind of peak where they were attracting that level of interest. And that's not something we're seeing with Welsh artists.
Why do you think that is? Because from the outside, I feel like Wales does punch above its weight in terms of we're a small nation. Like you said, Will, the funding that you get per head in the arts it is much lower than it should be. What, in an ideal world, could be done so that in 20 years' time we're not having the same conversation?
I think artists need to be encouraged to tour. Go outside of Wales, because it's, this isn't going to happen here and have the ability to tour. And it is more difficult for artists to do that. A lot of the small venues that they would go are now shut down. They aren't there. But, this is something, we are still seeing those kind of headliners emerge from Northern Ireland, England and Scotland. So this is something that, is particular there. I think there is a much more outward strategic look and a much more realistic look at a strategy for developing that. It would be great to see, music across the country being developed, especially at child level, which, so people are learning skills, learning music at that level as well. But also things like, proper places for them to record and things like that, access.
Do you think that there's probably a lot of the next stereophonics out there in Wales now who are struggling for a lack of recording studio space and practice space and venues to cut their teeth and, places to go?
We're not short of sad boy indie bands. We are not short of them in Wales. There's enough of them. You go to the Eisteddfod and you see the thousands packed deep crowds for what I find crazy, bands who in Wales are really well known but could be in Bristol and nobody would know who they are.
I think that's a very, very true thing. I think if you want to get to that kind of national level or world level, then you need to be out there. That's the thing. And I'm sure they're very, very popular in Wales. I think it's just at that level. This is a national event, so it's people from all over the world come to Green Man. So we have to have artists which are going to appeal and be known at that level. So I think that's something, and it certainly isn't because there's a lack of talent. There really isn't a lack of talent there, but it's just not getting it out there. And also more of a strategic offer. It's not enough to fund. It's strategy.
There's got to be a plan.
There's got to be a plan, an understanding of how it works, and encouragement of helping people have the confidence to do it. I mean, talent and courage are the two things which are needed to create genius and success in the music industry. And there's loads of people who have both and don't make it. That's the reality. It's not like, learning to be an electrician or something. There's luck involved, ability, and mental health as well to do it, because it's hard to keep on performing and you don't get seen, and you have to push it. And I think there's an understanding of that. There's a kind of thing, you can be what you want, you can do what you like to a degree, but if you don't put the legwork in, I've met some of the icons of the music industry, and that they are very strong-minded people. They're steely in how they've done things, and you need to be like that to get on with it.
One thing that really frustrated me recently, I was working on a writing project with the BBC. It got so far, and BBC Wales in the end said we absolutely don't want it, because what we don't want is the image that people have to go away to become something and then come back. But I feel like that's the reality that we're in at the moment, and whilst we can deny that's the case, I think like what you said, obviously if somebody could sell out a massive arena in Cardiff, they could probably draw a crowd here as well as Manchester and London. But at the same time, I do think we have to take Wales to the world, and we're still in that position where to reach that kind of success, going over the border is also a part of it, not the whole goal, but a part of it, right?
Yeah, it's a balance, isn't it, between you want to feel like Wales is a thing in of itself, and actually being big in Wales is a good thing, but actually you also want to look internationally. You want to look like, not just like, let's go to Bristol, let's go to London, let's go far beyond that. And I think a big part of what in Wales, it's about giving people that reason to come back, that actually you can be really commercially successful, and actually being based in Wales is an advantage. We'll ask though, you say you had some absolute icons of music. Any massive divas? How do you herd the cats when you're here?
I think we've never really had some dreadful artists who've been here. I think because we're independent and because we're not getting those kind of mega acts as well. I don't know. I don't know if now, I hate to disappoint you, but I don't know if there is that kind of real diva thing in the way that it used to be, say, in the 70s and 80s.
Tell us about that. Anything 70s and 80s?
Oh, he's desperate.
He wants tea.
He wants the dirt.
I just say, like this, like journalism is terribly paid. The main thing you get as like a perk is just hot goss.
I remember at Glastonbury there was an artist that can't be spoken about. But he asked for a tent full of hose, and I remember thinking, I really don't get that. And another one who brought his Vietnamese pig as his comfort animal, and then he got kidnapped And we were like running around trying to find this Vietnamese pig and bring it back, and it's like kind of, oh my God.
Was he in bits without the pig?
He was really in bits without his pig, and we were all over the place. And then at the Green Man, people occasionally borrow my dog because it's nice. I mean, it's very wholesome. It's not the kind of. I mean, I've made some massive faux pas.
Yeah.
When I think the early on when you had the parallel rain years. And I was really, really tired. And we used to stay the night in the cottage here. And during the day, the headliners used to stay in there. I was so tired. I'd lost the whole kind of idea of I was like staggering around, didn't know I was with my radio on. I'd fallen over, had mud in my ears, always a bad sign. Oh. And I saw them going into a vehicle which I thought was going to be taken to the headliners.
What, the headliners?
The headliners. And I said to them, great, you were brilliant, because I thought they were getting out the vehicle and they were actually getting in to go.
Oh, no.
And they were so pissed off with me. Quite right.
So were you like, oh, I saw you, you were incredible.
You were brilliant, Because I thought, and I was going and I was lost and they were so cross. Anyway,
Cheryl Cole never forgave you for that.
They wouldn't let me back in the house. So we were like scratching the windows, like, oh, please, can we go to bed? And they were like, no. We're having a great time, so that was. But I mean, that was me. That was my.
You got a lot on your plate.
No, but I think they saw it as a, it's sort of like, massive talent, and I'm saying that.
Massive ego, but sounds like.
No, but I get why they were pissed off. I cocked up.
All right, we're gonna have a little break there while I apply suntan cream, and then we will look to the future.
Great.
So let's look forward then. Now, there is an unequivocal benefit to the local economy of having Green Man here, but you are here for how many days a year?
Well, the festivals, we're here for longer, but the festival's here for 7 days, so the big impact time is 7 days.
7 days. Obviously, the Green Man Foundation does stuff all year round.
Yes.
But long term, you would like to have a more permanent presence here in rural Wales, wouldn't you?
Yes, definitely. I think that we'd really like to develop the charity. I mean, it's proved to be so successful and makes such an impact on things that really matter around here. I think, we're in an area where the wealth and age gap is, it's literally, you can see communities dwindling, it's having such a massive effect, and we're seeing extreme situations of poverty, extreme situations of isolation as well, which I think is a mounting thing that's going on. We could develop the arts development programs, and the training that we do, which has become massive. To be Green Man trained has become a very big deal. Not just in the arts. I think when you build a festival, you have engineers, you have construction, you have catering, you have hospitality. Actually, the staging bit is kind of quite a small part of the overall operation. We would like to channel that into encouraging, particularly, how can I put that, kids who've kind of lost a sense of themselves a little bit into that. And we've worked with young people who come from backgrounds where there's 4 generations who've been unemployed, and coming to the Green Man and being in this immersive situation where they're working with a group. It's very disciplined at the festival. It's a real downer. If anyone has to do someone else's job, it's a real kind of, walk of shame moment. Everyone has to get up, do what they need to do and finish, because there's no rehearsals at a festival. It has to work from the beginning. It happens, and there's so many things to do. So if you're not doing something, someone else has to do it. And also being involved with people that they respect and want to be around, sitting at the same stage. I mean, we worked with young people from Merthyr for over 10 years. It'd always start off, they'd say things like, oh, we hate the Green Man, hate your music, it's rubbish. That was the starting.
Okay, welcome.
Fine. They like food, don't. And at the end of it, they were wearing we heard from the people that they were wearing their crew T-shirts for like 3 months afterwards.
Yeah.
You could see just from their physicality change, their posture change. They were healthier. They were, they had confidence in themselves. They took pride in themselves. And that for us was incredibly inspiring. I mean, the production crew here work on Beyonce shows and West End theatre. They're very, very senior. And one of the things they really like is coming here and doing that work, because no one else does it. And because they see the change in the people we're working with. and they really enjoy it. And at the other level, we do more kind of technical stuff. We have a partnership with Cardiff Uni that's incredibly successful. I mean, the placement scheme now, well, people are paid who work here.
What would be a job that they'd be doing?
What would the kind of job? They would all have a project. The job is an interim thing because now it's very, very hard for graduates to get work. And they would work with the charity, they'd work with logistics, they'd work with artists, management, they would work, all over the place in different, a front of house. They work with the logistics team. Job is massive because it's over £6 million to do this, and it's an incredible thing to kind of sort out. And I think the big thing about it is if you've worked here and you've been an academic, then you've worked with people from lots and lots of different places. You've worked under pressure. They all have a project to do, and from the point of view of getting a job, that means a lot. When you go somewhere as amazing as Cardiff University, you know you're going to get a 2-1 or a first, whatever.
What's your relationship like with the local community?
It's good and it's mixed. I think that the majority of people see it as a positive.
Yeah.
I think there's a minority of people who don't like us and are very vocal about that. I think that's
their gripes, would you say?
I don't. That we, traffic, don't like it. They like where they are to stay exactly the same all the time and not change. You get some people who want you in the village, some people who don't want you in the village. But I would say the overwhelming majority want us here from the feedback we get. We certainly like them. And we try and do things like, people say, why don't you have day tickets? If we had day tickets here, it'd be awful for local people. It'd have far too much traffic impact.
This is obviously ultimately this is a politics podcast, and I think what's nice about talking to you is to understand like a kind of industry in Wales that people might not know about. But we've now got a Plaid Cymru government that say that first and foremost is about developing the arts in Wales and developing the economy in Wales. What do you reckon they could do which would make a meaningful difference to businesses like yourselves?
I mean, for us, I can't really say for other business. I think there would be a situation of making things freer. It seems inordinately difficult sometimes, especially in the rural economy, to do anything. It's sort of, seems to be you start doing something and then something stops, and I think there needs to be a understanding and a practical way of dealing with things like NIMBYism and what people want, but also with an understanding that things have to change. There has to be jobs for young people, or the economic and social impact on this area is going to be horrendous. And to see it through. What I would like is courage to see it through. And, you're going to annoy people for a while, and then people are going to get used to it. And have that kind of feeling that you're not just there to be voted in, you're there to make considerable change. And I think that is what I would like to see from government, and have proper strategy based on facts. It's
what's the bit of strategy? That is crazy. Come on, let's go back to it.
I think I sometimes hear these big numbers. We've done this, we've done that. Well, why have you done that? And build and bring the Welsh people along. Then people understand why you're doing things. And I think there has been a disparity in that. Things have been done and no one's really understood it, and then they felt very resentful. And I think that if they understood it more, it might, some people might like it, or some people might like it, but they'd understand it.
Sure.
We are super conscious at a time where everything is really miserable to try and finish and always look at things from a point of view of hope. What makes you hopeful for the future?
I feel that there's a new time at the moment. I think the government changes seem to be positive, and they're saying all the things which you want to hear. What's really needed now is action. I think that's wherever you are, that's what people want right now, is things to get done, things to be completed, and that's right across the nation. I think that people really want to see something done. But I do feel that there's hope. I'm working and meeting some really positive people doing incredible things in Wales, and that's inspiring. And being here is inspiring. I like being here.
Is Mel inspiring you?
She is. Especially with glittery eyes. Glittery eyes. Very inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. It's been wonderful. We are sizzling away. Looking forward to the rest of the weekend. Thank you.
Very much so. Very much so. It's going to be good.
just before we go, I just wanted to ask you a question. You were telling me earlier about, so you came up in the festival industry when it was incredibly male-dominated. Can you tell me about the time you pretended to be a man in a negotiation with yourself?
I didn't.
Okay, right, I'm sat. What is going on?
In 2 minutes before we rob someone else of the time on this stage, tell us that story.
So when I first got on, a lot of people had never actually done any business with women before.
God, can you imagine? They must be terrified.
They were terrified.
As they should be.
And there was a guy who rented out big tops, which there's only a few in the country. It's quite difficult to get big tops at the time. And they were all, his industry had collapsed because circus laws had changed.
Yeah.
So he was, sensitive and worried about going into festivals anyway. So I would meet with him in the same pub every year, and we'd have this charade. And I said, I'm really sorry. I can't remember, Derek or something, my boss.
So you'd make up the name of a guy
Yeah.
who was running the company that you were running
Yeah.
because the guy wanted to negotiate with men.
Yeah, well, and I say, he can't make it, but what we can do, if we come to a deal, this is what he suggests, can we have this and can we have that? And then I go to the back of the pub and this is a long time ago, use the landline, and I say, I just spoke to him, he's fine about that. and then years later, I think it was, 6-7 years later, he's laughing at me. He said, "You're the boss," and I said, "Yes, he was." And he was incredible because he used to be a lion tamer, and
yet terrified of women.
And terrified of him. He was.
Not lioness tamer.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, I used to be a lion tamer. You might have heard." And I had 6 lions, and then I lost one. And he suddenly, just in the middle of this fight, just picked up his jumper, and there was kind of a hole where his rib cage was, and it had bitten him. To be honest with you, I think the festival industry is full of big characters, which is part of and it never interfered with business. I think he actually knew longer, so I was probably making a bit of a dick of myself by carrying on pretending to be a bloke.
Yeah.
Or the bloke pretending to be me, I don't know. Probably after the first one, he sussed it out and was just playing with me.
And he was, she's got off the back.
She's going to pretend.
You're there in the corner giving it, no.
I
love
She's doing
that.
it again. Yeah,
She's method. Give her a BAFTA.
Well, Derek, Fiona, whoever you are, we are incredibly grateful for you joining us on the podcast. Thank you for having us at your festival. It has been a pleasure. We will be back next week with business as usual pods.
Probably.
But thank you very much. My name's Will Hayward.
My name's Mel Owen.
And my name's Fiona Stewart.
Diolch yn fawr.
Bye, diolch. Ta-ra.